The video lesson today is going to be about the operators in Python. As you can see in this table, there are arithmetic, assignment, comparison, and logical operators. Let's take a closer look at the arithmetic operators first. In this column, you can see the operation and the symbol for that operation. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, floor division, and exponent. Modulus returns the remainder after a number is divided by a divisor. So that is modulus. And the floor division returns only the whole part. So let's take some examples. Declaring a variable in Python is that simple. For example, x is equal to 1. When you assign a value to a new variable, you should use the single equal sign. So the single equal sign is always used for assigning a value to a new variable. So now we have declared a new variable called x, and we have assigned the a value to x, which is 1. A variable is actually a pigeonhole. It's a small container used for holding a value, and the value may vary, hence the name. So x is equal to 1. And let's say y is equal to 2. And now let's print x plus y. Obviously, we should get 3 as a result. So let's run the program. Okay, so we got 3 as a result. Okay, you should also keep it in mind that the plus sign is always used for concatenation, but in Python you can only concatenate a string to a string. So if you use the double quotes, when you assign a value to a variable, the value is a string. A string is a text. So if you run the program now, you should get an error message. Let's see. You see? We got an error message because it says you can only concatenate string to string. So you cannot, in Python, you cannot concatenate a string to a number. So if we convert this value to a string and run the program, we got 12, because in this case Python, the interpreter, concatenated 1 to 2. So if you say, let's say John, which is obviously a string, and let's say Smith. So now we get John Smith. like this. Okay, let's have a look at another arithmetic variable. For example, let's try this one, the modulus. As I said, this operator returns the remainder after a number is divided by a divisor. So for example, let's say that x, now the variable x holds the value number 10. Okay, and y, let's say 5. Now, so if we use the modular, the mod operator now, we should get 0 as a result, because the remainder is 0. Because 10 divided by 5 is 2, but the remainder is 0. So let's run the program. We got 0. That's good. Let's try this. Now we should get 1, because the remainder is 1. Okay, let's try another variable. Another operator. Another arithmetic operator. Okay, so let's try this floor division. You need to use the double slash if you want to use the floor division operator, and as I said, this is the whole division, so it returns only the whole part. Okay, so let's say like this. Yes, we got 1 as a result. That is true, because if you divide 3 by 2, for example, obviously the result is going to be, so 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. But if you use the floor division operator, the result is going to be 1, because it returns only the whole part. Okay, let's try the exponent operator. For example, 2, 8. So it is going to return the value of 2 to the power of 8, which is going to be 256. So we should get 256 as a result. So let's run the program. 256. So far, so good. Okay, now let's let's have a look at an assignment operator. So these are the symbols. As I said, when you assign, the single equal sign is always used for assigning a value. It is only used for assigning a value to a variable. So, and if you take a closer look at these symbols, all the symbols contain the single equal sign, because these are all assignment operators. Add and assign, subtract and assign, multiply and assign, modulus and assign, exponent and assign, floor and assign. Okay, for example, let's take a very simple example. 1, 2, and let's say not like this, sorry. So this means, let's make a comment here. You can use the hashtag to make comments in your code. So this means this line 3 actually means that x is equal to x plus y. So now 1 is equal to 1 plus 2. So if we print x, we should get 3 as a result. So let's print x. Let's run the program. You see, we got 3 as a result. So far, so good. Okay, let's try another assignment operator, for example. So this should be like this: exponent and a sign. Okay, so let's for example, okay, so let's say n is equal to 4, x is equal to 1. Now we're going to use a loop. More precisely, a for loop. In a for loop typically uses a variable known as the counter or the index to keep track of how many times the loop has been executed, and it stops when the counter, or in other words the index, reaches a certain number. So let's say for, we should use the for keyword, I, which stands for index. You can call it I for short. I in, and now we are going to use the range built-in. The range built-in takes an integer and it returns a list of numbers from 0 to 1 less than the given integer. So it has 2 parameters. Actually, it can have 3: start, stop, and step. The third one is not compulsory, so the start and the stop parameters are compulsory parameters. So the start value should be 1, and the stop value should be n plus 1. It is because, as I said, the range built-in takes an integer, now takes an integer, and it returns a list of numbers from 0 to 1 less than the given integer. So that is why we should add 1 to n, because if you don't add 1 to n, it returns 1, 2, and 3, because it returns a list of numbers from 0 to 1 less than the given integer. By default, it starts from 0, but you can give this, you can specify the start value. Okay. So if you do it like this, and you say print E, and you run the program, you see we got 0, 1, 2, and 3, because it takes the integer of 4 and returns a list of numbers from 0 to 1 less than the given integer. But you can specify the start, the stop, and the step. So let's specify the start 1, and let's stop at 4, so n plus 1. And now let's print x sorry, not like this. And let's print x. This is the factorial. So now we should get 24 as a result, because 1 multiplied by 2, so 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 makes 24. You see, we got 24 as a result. Okay, so let's try another variable. For example, x should be 0 now, and this is the sum up algorithm. The result is 10, because 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 makes 10. Let's try this. It works. Okay, so now let's take a closer look at the comparison operators. Equal to, not equal to, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So you should use the double equal sign when you want to compare two variables, for example. Okay, so this compares, for example, two variables in value. Okay, equal to in value. Okay, so let's try this. Okay, so for example, let's use the if statement. For example, if 4 is equal to, no, sorry, n is equal to x, say yes. Else if let's say, I don't know, n is less than 0, say no. Okay, so So now we should get no as a result because n is greater than 0. Okay, let's check. Yes, it's good. Now let's try this. Yes, because 4 is equal to 4. Okay, let's have another example. Okay, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So now we should get yes as a result. Let's try. Good. Okay. Okay, and last but not least, let's take a look at one of the logical operators. So, not all and. Negate condition, either condition, both condition. Okay, so let's take an example. For example, let's ask the user to enter 3 different numbers, and let's output the greatest number among the 3 the user entered. Okay, so x. Now in Python you cannot implicitly convert a string to an integer, so we should use the int method first, the int class, and then we should use the input method, and let's say enter a number. Y is equal to, let's say enter another number, and z is equal to enter yet another number. Okay, so if x is greater than y and x is greater than z, print x, because in that case x is the greatest number. And if y is greater than x and y is greater than z, print y, because in that case y is the greatest number. And otherwise, or else, okay, print z. Let's run the program. Okay, let's say 10, 24, 13. We got 24 because 24 is the greatest number. Let's try it again. For example, 1, 2, 3. We got 3. Thank you for watching. So much about the operators in Python.